Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Rural Contractors. I'm your host, Paul Osmondson, and today's topic is systems for bookkeeping. Do you have a system for bookkeeping? I use QuickBooks Online. It's connected to my bank account, so I'm seeing all of the transactions as they come in, so they're automatically put into there. My system, once it comes in once a month, I go in and I put them into the categories that they belong in, whether it's payroll taxes, job supplies, all of these different areas of my business. So that tool is super handy that it automatically puts them in, and then you can create rules so they automatically go into the right spots, and then reconcile your bookkeeping. And then I keep track of my monthly cash flow so that I can look at it through years and years of stuff and go, hey, why was it so expensive this month? And then if there was something odd that month, I can put a note in there and use that. But let me tell you about my system before. Lindsay she was in charge of our taxes and that stuff. We didn't have payroll at that time. When it would come to tax time, we would just have to sit through for 12 hours straight and figure out what are these receipts. Like, I didn't track things. It was all in my head, and you try to go back 8, 9, 10 months. What was this transaction for? It's a mess. It's just, you can't see it. When you go through it monthly and you know what that transaction is and you can put it into the right category, saves you loads of time. I did not learn the software. I did not know how to run QuickBooks, and I was driving Lindsay crazy because she was way more organized than I was, but she did not know what these transactions are. How can she categorize them if she doesn't know what they are? And even going through and looking to your bank statements, when it's that far out, you can't remember. When you go through it at a monthly basis, you can be like, oh yeah, that was that weird purchase. You can remember it because it was within a month. If you can't remember it within a month, you have other issues and you need to see a doctor. I can't help you with that. But what eventually happened was Lindsay's like, you need to learn this. You need to know how to do this. And so I did. I started to learn the software. We were using QuickBooks Desktop at that time, and I really liked it, and I started to learn it, and I figured out how to categorize things, and I started learning. The online version is that much better, but it is very different, and it took a long time. It was a process to learn it and to know all of the tools that it had to offer. This idea that Lindsay was saving me. She was saving me from doing this paperwork. She was creating the organization that we needed to get our taxes done, but it was a nightmare, and she hated it, and I hated it, and our accountant hated it when we were going through taxes. So when we switched from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online, I was learning the software and I was plugging it in. So she was turning the reins over to me and saying, hey, I can't save you anymore. You need to learn this. This is your problem. It's your business. You do it. Best thing that ever happened to me. And she's still an angel, but just realizing that how many people are saving you from experiencing the lessons that you need to learn. And she wasn't doing that because she hates me. She was loving me and she was saving me in that. But in the long run, it didn't take me to the business owner that I needed to be, that she had to cut the cord and say, hey, Paul, grow up, do it yourself. Looking back at it now, that time sucked because I was like, oh, I got to be on the job. I got to do this. I got to get the estimates. I got to do this. But it forced me to create my systems so that I could get it done on a monthly basis. Did this happen in a week's time? No, this was a 2-year journey of me figuring out how to stay on top of my books. So that first year of QuickBooks Online, I didn't know it at all. And at the end of the year, I turned it over to my accountant. I was like, I don't care what it costs. You reconcile it. You do all of this stuff. Because it was that same idea of I wasn't doing it on a monthly basis. And so I turned it over to her. She did an amazing job. But looking at those books now, I mean, she did the best that she could, putting them into the categories that they are. And I'm still going, oh, what was that? And going through old checks. If you're doing it on a monthly basis and they're putting them into the right categories, even if they're in the wrong categories, at least they're plugged in there and putting notes in, this check was from this check was from this job. It helps you have some level of organization. All of that, Lindsay saving me, doing my paperwork, her hating her life. Akin that story from Richest Man in Babylon where the donkey takes on, he makes his problem, the other person's problem, his problem. Lindsay was making my problem her problem, and it wasn't helping me and it wasn't serving her. When we finally figured this out that, hey, I'm the one writing these checks, I'm the one depositing these checks, I know what it is. Take a little bit of time and learn the software. What that's allowed me to do in that is create those skills of learning the softwares that I can do it in less than 10 minutes. I can go in there, I can categorize everything, I can reconcile my bank account, and we know exactly where we're at. We can print off our balance sheet, we can print off our profit and loss monthly and know exactly where we're at. Do you have a system for your bookkeeping? And also, along with my bookkeeping, I still have somebody that runs the payroll for the crew that I don't have to do that, and she enters it exactly into my QuickBooks, and it comes through my transactions just like everything else, and I categorize it. So you don't have to know it all, but learning that and the value of me knowing what those transactions are. It also allows me to, if I wanted to, I could have a secretary and I could teach her which transactions are which. And it gives you suggestions. And if she had questions, she could just send me a text and say, hey, what was this for? But if you don't have a system, you will never break free from that. And ignoring the problem, like I did, have Lindsay doing my books, and it got to, oh crap, we got to file our taxes. What are we going to do? Well, let's pull an all-nighter. Let's get it done. No fun. The stress that put on us, that I put on her, that wasn't fair, that it was my expenses, it was my business, it was all of what I had going on, and I threw her into it because I'm like, hey, I'm not capable of this. But the fact of it is, she knew I was capable of it, and that all I had to do was learn the skills, learn how to use the software that we're using, and create the systems. So, thanks for listening to me rant on my systems, but this is exactly what we help people do inside Contractors Boardroom, is know your numbers. We know your numbers on what's going in and out of your account, your books for your accountant so that taxes are easy and simple. And then we know your books on where your leads are coming from, where your jobs are coming from, how you're doing on a job-by-job basis. If that's something that you need help with, that's exactly what we do inside Contractors Boardroom. There's a link several places. You can find me on my Facebook page. If you're listening to the podcast, there's a link down in there, lead you to our ClickFunnels, lead you through exactly the steps that we lead you through in Contractors Boardroom. I hope this episode was valuable, and we'll catch you on the next one.